Good evening, everybody. We're happy to have you all here. We are here for our November 11th City Council meeting. If the city clerk could call the roll.
Alderwoman Buse.
Here.
Alderwoman Patel.
Here.
Alderman Fader.
Here.
Alderman Hummel.
Here.
Alderman York. Alderwoman Waldman.
Here.
Mayor McAndrew.
Here.
City Manager Gibson. City Attorney O'Keefe.
The first part of our meeting is a time for anybody to address us about a matter that's not on the agenda. So if anybody wants to talk to us about something that's under our control, that's happening in the city, you're welcome to come up now. Otherwise, there'll be time for people to address us on different subjects as we go through the agenda. We do have a new procedure. So if you want to address us, there are speaker cards out in the lobby that you'll need to fill out. It's just a way for us and our city clerk to keep track of who's speaking. There's also a 3-minute limit on speaking, so that's why the clock is up here. With that, the first item on our agenda is an amendment to our retail smoking establishments. I will open the public hearing and request proof of publication.
Yes, Mayor, this is a public hearing for an ordinance amending Chapter 405, establishing regulations for retail smoking establishments. The community has expressed the desire to increase the oversight and regulation of the sale and marketing of tobacco, non-tobacco nicotine products, alternative nicotine products, electronic nicotine delivery systems, vapor products, hemp-derived intoxicants, and supporting paraphernalia to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents, businesses, and property owners in the city. The proposed regulations create a definition for a retail smoking establishment, which is a business primarily engaged in the sale of the products listed above. This definition allows for specific protections to be placed on this use outside of more general retail use. Staff propose limiting the permitted locations for retail smoking establishments to the C2 and HDC zoning districts, with buffer requirements around schools, daycares, and places of worship. The buffer requirements proposed match those currently placed on marijuana dispensaries. In addition, staff have proposed revisions to licensing regulations and offenses provisions outlined in a separate agenda item. The text amendment was presented to the Plan Commission on November 3rd, 2025, and unanimously recommended to the Board of Aldermen for approval. Staff recommends that the Board of Aldermen approve the proposed ordinance amending Chapter 405 to address the management of retail smoking establishments. And I will mention, there is before you this evening, everyone should have had a copy of a revised ordinance that deals with the zoning changes relative to retail smoking establishment. There are 2 changes that are, and one was posted online, one is new this evening. One is Section C that deals with no covered product as defined in Section 215, which is the offenses section, shall be displayed to be visible through glass windows or doors by a person of normal visual acuity standing at the outside perimeter of a facility where such covered products are available for sale. What that means is we're taking the language in the zoning code and we're matching that to the licenses and the offenses section. So if you look at what was previously drafted within the zoning code, there was some variability in that language. So we wanted to make sure it was consistent in all 3 documents. So that's the change that you see there to C. D was stricken because it's covered by C. And then again, the change that was online for or within the packet for public review was the removal of item E, which is the sale or consumption of alcohol within an establishment is prohibited. We have taken that provision out, recognizing that there are cigar lounges that exist in the city that are tied to retail smoking establishments where members can bring their own alcohol in. So that would be detrimental to those particular businesses if that were to be included. So I just wanted to point out those changes, and I will open it up for any questions or discussion. And we do have Anna Crane, our Director of Planning and Development Services, here this evening as well.
Thank you. I will open the discussion. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
My only comments would be, I had the advantage of hearing this at the Planning Commission as well, that again, commending staff capturing the concerns of the community and expressed by the board. And also then, especially with tonight's modifications, addressing the concerns of our existing businesses. I think it's a very It's very well drafted and supportive of our community.
I have a question about the significance of the change to item C from referencing the revised statutes of Missouri to our section 215-610. Like what's the because those things aren't defined here. What's the substantive effect of that
So
change?
215-610, and that will be on the agenda later. We're referencing the covered products that are defined there. And so those covered products are all of the things that I spoke of at the beginning of the report, which are tobacco products, non-tobacco nicotine products, alternative nicotine products, electronic nicotine delivery systems, vapor products, hemp-derived intoxicants, and then the supporting paraphernalia. So anything that you might use to smoke them.
So,
So we just wanted to make sure that our definition throughout our code of ordinances, whether it's the offenses section, licensing or zoning, that we were consistent in referencing back to those covered products in all three when we talk about the display of product.
and where else is that section referenced? Like like, was it referenced in a prior? I guess I'm just trying to
That's
figure
a new-
out like,
That's a new definition
okay,
that would be established this
Okay.
evening. Yeah.
all right, thank you.
I would just echo the prior comment, and I think it's very responsive to concerns we had about a new smoke shop, especially people in Davis Place, very concerned about one that was nearby. And so I think this ordinance change, along with the others, will greatly solidify our position in dealing with these kind of uses going forward. So pleased to see it adopted.
Alderman Hummel, do you have any questions or comments?
I guess I'm looking for some clarification here. We're calling it a retail smoking establishment, but in the summary, then we talk about a business that's primarily engaged in the sale of the products. And then you mentioned like a cigar bar, which is sort of like blending all kinds of these things together. So all I want to make sure of is that we're capturing many things. I guess that's my question. Like a business that's just purely in the business of selling, but they don't have any on-site smoking, for example, it's still being captured by this.
Yeah, the smoking portion is actually in a different part of the code where we deal with those regulations generally where it's prohibited in the city, occasions where it would be permitted. This is dealing strictly with the sale. So right now, if you look at our zoning code, we just have general retail. And so these retailers are allowed under that general retail. We're just adding a new provision in there, separating out this specific type of retail and tying it to all of those products that are defined.
So then how does like a cigar bar private establishment, does that fit into this or is that covered elsewhere?
It's covered elsewhere in a separate part of the code.
Okay.
You can have a cigar lounge that's incidental to a retail smoking establishment, but all of those standards are contained in the code and other places.
Okay. That's all I have.
Yeah, I'm just very thankful that we really listened to our residents and moved on this very quickly and efficiently. So thank you.
Yeah, Anna, thank you. Too, I just want to reiterate to everyone that this would, because as Gary mentioned, a lot of the concern over this was related to, adding any other, vape shops near neighborhoods. So here they're, and Anna, just correct me if I'm wrong. C2 is along Clayton Road.
Clayton Road, east of Big Bend. And then the CVS property is C2 as well.
Okay.
There's also a little bit of C2 on Maryland, which are the Claris properties. And then on the east end of Forsyth, if I'm not mistaken. North side of Forsyth on the east side of the city.
Okay. And then, so in addition, there would be, there's limits on future vape shops. I know there's people in the audience that, have spoken to about this when we discussed this. So there's limits on having additional shops that would, like, there couldn't be another one on Clayton Road where there currently one is now. So they would be only in C2 districts or in, kind of downtown areas. So, and then again, having the buffers similar to what dispensaries have from schools and churches. So that's kind of what we're adding in here. So.
Does this actually Cause you said Clayton Road east of Big Bend. So what about Clayton Road between Big Bend and Brentwood? Can one of these establishments exist there?
That property zone C1, which is a,
So if it's
Lesser
an
commercial
existing
district.
property, an existing business that falls under this section of the code, what happens to them?
it's a legal non-conforming use.
Yeah.
So they're allowed to continue to operate. They could actually convey that business to another operator that does the exact same thing and they could continue that use.
Okay.
So as
But
long as
there
they
can't
don't,
be another.
as long as they don't change the use to something, once you change it to something else, you can't go back to it essentially.
Okay.
But yeah,
Thank you.
they can continue to use it.
Is there anybody in the audience that wants to talk to us about, this is really just related to the zoning regulation and then there'll be an additional item that's related to just the products more specifically. Looks like there's nobody in the audience related to that. Any other comments or questions up here? I will close the public hearing. Alderwoman Buse.
I'd like to introduce Bill number 7105, approving an amendment to Charter 405, establishing regulations for retail smoking establishments, to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7105, first reading. An ordinance amending chapters 405 of the Clayton City Code to establish zoning regulations for retail smoking establishments.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderwoman Buse?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration of adoption of Bill number 7105 on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce Bill number 7105, approving an amendment to Chapter 405, establishing regulations for retail smoking establishments, to be read for the second time by title only.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7105, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending chapter 405 of the Clayton City Code to establish zoning regulations for retail smoking establishments.
Alderwoman Buse,
Aye.
Alderwoman Patel,
Aye.
Alderman Fader,
Aye.
Alderman Hummel,
Aye.
Alderwoman Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Bill passes.
June, could you please correct the typo that I left in the title? It's chapter singular
Oh, okay,
for the
yes.
execution draft. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda relates to sign regulations. I will open the public hearing and request proof of publication.
This is a public hearing to consider amending chapter 425 sign regulations of the city's land use regulations to revise regulations governing ground and blade signs. The Plan Commission Architectural Review Board and the Board of Aldermen are in the process of implementing key results from the Clayton Tomorrow 2040 Comprehensive Plan. The zoning code currently limits blade signs to 1 square foot. Staff evaluated past blade sign approvals and determined that the Plan Commission Architectural Review Board was regularly hearing requests for and approving blade signs larger than 1 square foot. Following the analysis of recent blade sign and Plan Commission ARB approvals, methods for calculating signage, and goals of various sign types in relation to the character development, staff are recommending increasing the maximum allowed size to 5 square feet. Additionally, staff recommend blade signs not encroach more than 2 feet into public right-of-way and be no less than 8 feet above grade per the recommendations of the Public Works Department. The zoning code also currently requires all ground signs to be reviewed by the ARB. Ground signs are unique in that they often employ a greater extent of materials than other sign types. A staff analysis of previous ground sign approvals found that the ARB applied consistent material recommendations by encouraging the use of brick, stone, metal, wood, or similar materials and prohibiting the use of vinyl and PVC products. Staff recommended revising regulations to remove the ARB requirement and recommend that future approvals be guided by ARB guidelines. Staff have provided draft guidelines with this report. Under the revised conditions, a ground sign could be reviewed administratively, but would still require ARB approval if the proposal did not meet the proposed guidelines. The Plan Commission Architectural Review Board considered this request at its meeting on November 3rd, 2025, and voted unanimously to recommend approval. In addition, ARB approved the proposed architectural guidelines below or attached, which do not require approval by the Board of Aldermen, but are provided for context. Staff recommends approval of the text amendments as proposed.
Thank you. I'll open the discussion. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. What we were provided gives examples of the ground signs, but not the blade sign. I don't know what a blade sign is.
Sign that sticks out from the building.
Attached to a building.
Anna will probably have a better definition for you. I'm trying to think of an.
No, you
example.
got it. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it. So they're the ones that project perpendicular to the building face. So you can see them from both sides. The reason that we have the architectural guidelines for ground signs is because that's part of what the ARB adopted for this change. The blade signs fall under our typical material review. So we don't have an architectural guideline for blade signs.
Okay. And can you say what it means to say, and how big can a ground sign be where multiple sign locations are proposed on a single ground sign? What does that mean?
So,
Are you reading it out of
yeah,
the?
so what
Yeah.
it is you can have 25 square feet. And so you can have one big sign area that's 25 square feet.
Yeah.
Or you could have the multiple sign locations.
Like 5 different businesses, you mean? Is that?
Correct. Yeah, so that's why in the guidelines, Brian included.
That's what that part.
The
means.
diagram,
About
yeah,
10 to 5
because
feet.
part of what in the analysis of ground signs over time, we found that there was some inconsistency in how those signs had been measured, which led to some confusion when people were designing their signs. So we kind of outlined a standardized approach to how we'll measure the size of ground signs moving forward and included that in the guidelines.
Okay. And if someone like wants something to be slightly different, they can go before the ARB and propose.
Right,
it.
there's
But
still a
this is
sign.
what's allowed. for
Yeah, there's still a
administrative
sign
approval.
modification process. And it used to be before the last update to our sign code, it specifically referenced up to 5 tenant names being allowed on signage. So that's part of where there's been kind of historical confusion about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I just had a question as long as Anna's up here. So if someone administratively has their sign denied, does this change? I assume they would still have a chance to go to the Board of Adjustment for a sign variance, or would that, the fact that it's not going through the ARB, does that affect appeals if you get turned down administratively?
Right, so there's a sign modification process that's outlined within our sign code that provides a pathway for people to go to the Plan Commission Architecture Review Board to ask for slightly different signage from what's allowed. So right now what happens is on all signs now, if this proposal passes, including ground signs, are eligible for administrative approval. So as staff will review that proposed sign against the guidelines that the ARB has adopted. And if it conforms to the size and the material guidelines, we'll approve it administratively. If it doesn't conform to the size or material guidelines, we will refer that application to the Architecture Review Board. So the applicant will be given the choice to either modify their plan to conform with administrative approval, or they can apply for the Architecture Review Board to get a sign modification. So we actually have a process that it does not include the Board of Adjustment for a variance. There's a separate process that we can go into if they feel like the code has been improperly applied by staff. But otherwise, the sign modification process goes to the Plan Commission.
Thank you.
Alderman Fader or Alderman Hummel, sorry. Comments or questions?
No, I don't think so.
Sure about that?
Very uncertain.
Seems, no, I was gonna have an editorial comment. I'll just, no, I'm fine.
And Waldman.
No, I mean, being on the ARB, previously, I think this really does make sense. We were approving these just all the time, and it's not a good use of your time and our time. So it's a smart decision.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Alderwoman Buse.
I introduce Bill number 7106, approving an amendment to Chapter 425, sign regulations to revise the permitted size of blade signs and allow administrative review of ground signs to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7106, first reading, an ordinance amending chapter 425, sign regulations to revise the permitted size of blade signs and allow administrative review of ground signs.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of Bill number 7106 on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce Bill number 7106, approving an amendment to Chapter 425, sign regulations to revise the permitted size of blade signs and allow administrative review of ground signs to be read for the second time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7106, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending chapter 425, sign regulations to revise the permitted size of blade signs and allow administrative review of ground signs.
Alderwoman Buse,
Aye.
Alderwoman Patel,
Aye.
Alderman Fader,
Aye.
Alderman Hummel.
Aye.
Alderwoman Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Thank you. The bill passes.
The next item on our agenda is a conditional use permit for 905 St. Rita Avenue. I will open the public hearing and request proof of publication.
Yes, Mayor, this is a public hearing to consider an application for a conditional use permit submitted by Mike Lutsky on behalf of Byron Company. The applicant is seeking a conditional use permit, or CUP, to allow for the primary use of an existing parking lot on the subject property. The property is located on the west side of St. Rita Avenue between San Benito Avenue and Alamo Avenue. It is zoned R5, medium low density multifamily dwelling district, multiple family dwelling district, and is developed with a multifamily structure that is in the process of demolition. There's a parking lot at the rear of the structure with space for about 4 vehicles. A demolition permit would typically require demolition and removal of all site improvements and restoration to a green site. The applicant is seeking to retain the existing parking lot for use by adjacent residents of a building under common ownership. The Plan Commission considered this request at its meeting on November 3rd and voted unanimously to recommend approval with the following condition. Use of parking on the site as the primary use shall not be expanded beyond the existing conditions. Approval of a conditional use, staff recommends approval of a conditional use permit for the operation of a parking lot located at 905 St. Rita Avenue per the conditions outlined in the resolution.
Thank you. I'll open the discussion. Any questions or comments from the board?
My only comment is, when this came before the Plan Commission, it did seem that obviously it was a unanimous approval recommendation. And it seemed to serve the building and the neighborhood well in keeping it as it was.
I just want to be clear, there is a multifamily building there and the intent of the property owner is to demolish it and turn it into a parking lot.
No.
I'm confused.
So what's going on is, so the property owner has a multifamily structure on it. The structure is in disrepair and it's currently unoccupied. There's a parking surface that accommodated that building and served that building that's on the property as well. The building is not being utilized, but the parking is currently being utilized by an adjacent multifamily building that's under the same ownership.
Okay.
So what the owner would like to do is take down the building that's in disrepair and leave the parking surface so that the residents that are in his adjacent
Yeah.
building can still utilize that parking surface.
And the condition that the use of parking shall not be expanded beyond the existing conditions is what's preventing it from, what will prevent the property owner from changing from the current number of parking spots to like a whole lot,
That is correct. Yeah,
right?
the surface,
And what do we know about the applicant's intent for the longer term development of the site use?
that question came up at the Plan Commission, and at this point in time, it's just the parking lot. They don't have any plans to redevelop the lot at this point.
So, because under our code, normally the whole thing would have to be graded, grassed and everything. So
Correct.
this- yeah.
The parking surface would need to be removed.
So he didn't indicate any sort of intention to build a new multifamily?
I don't know if the applicant is here this evening. That's what was indicated at the plan commission meeting. The exact same question came up.
And can you remind me how we handle demolition permits? Like, is there a fee for it? How is it managed? And
There is a fee. We require all the utilities to disconnect their services and verify that those have been disconnected. And then we require the site to be fenced and then restored, as the mayor had stated. But
and
there is a fee
or
associated
like
with
to grass?
restored to grass, yes. Graded, flat, seeded and sodded.
Yeah, the fence will go up during demolition, but then they take it down and they've got to sod it and grass it. And
What's the like range of the fee?
I don't
I
know
mean, are we talking like hundreds of dollars or
Yeah.
thousands?
how Crane could tell us on this particular project.
And what do we know about, I mean, I just think one of the risks that we have as a community is that some of our older buildings are not well maintained and might be taken into disrepair where like preferred, I think, outcome or desired state for a lot of residents would be to maintain the existing buildings and the character. And it's also like a better, certainly like environmental choice. Like there's a lot of reasons to encourage that existing buildings be retained. So I just want to make sure I understand as much as I can about the process. Thank you.
the consultants in the comprehensive plan suggested one of the ways that we could help with that is like really ramp up our demolition fee. to
Yes,
kind
that's
of
what
like-
I'm
yeah.
curious about.
Yeah, we haven't really dug into that key result yet from the comp plan. The permit fee for the demolition for this project was about $1,100. So our demolition fees are pretty low.
I mean, that's negligible, I
right.
assume, in the cost of actually demolishing.
It is a lot of their, so they also have to go through the process through St. Louis County Public Health to do asbestos abatement and remediation, and removal of all that has to be approved before they can complete the demolition. So we don't have, some communities require, essentially them to prove that the value to put the building back into use, the amount that would cost is more than the value of the property. So there are things you can add to the permit
Yeah.
process. We would have to do more of an evaluation. In this case, the building does have some pretty significant structural issues. Now, you can argue that maybe some of that was caused because they kind of left it unused. So who really knows? But that's something that we will, as we continue to implement the comprehensive plan, we'll eventually get to that analysis. Yeah.
What do we know about how long it's been vacant?
I know the neighbors contacted me at some point because they were upset because there was like animals going.
It's
in.
been vacant for years. The last
Very upset.
Yeah, the conversation that we had briefly with the owner was that it was vacant when they acquired the property. So it's been vacant for quite some time.
Which was like 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. And so, cause that would mean like we haven't been doing occupancy permit inspections because nobody's been occupying it, right?
Right. So there haven't been any occupancy permits inspections because they haven't been in there, but the exterior of the property in terms of code enforcement, I mean, they weren't having any they were cutting their grass and doing other maintenance issues. It's just the interior maintenance side is something that we aren't tracking if they're not getting occupancy.
Okay, I would love to see us work on that key result before it's too late. Thank you.
Alderman Fader.
No comments. Thank you.
No.
Yeah, I just want to echo Alderwoman Patel's concern. I think, I guess I didn't actually think about that when I was reading through that. And I think you bring up some really important points for us to consider for our older buildings. So appreciate that.
And I should mention too, I know there's some people online, so if you have a question or comment, please raise your hand on any of the matters that we're talking about this evening. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Alderwoman Buse.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-32, granting a conditional use permit for a parking lot located at 905 St. Rita Avenue.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Conditional use permit passes. The next item on our agenda is a conditional use permit for 16 North Central, 16 North Central Avenue, to be the new restaurant called Torah Asian House. I will open the public hearing and request proof of publication.
Yes, this is a public hearing to consider an application for a conditional use permit submitted by Jennifer Gong to allow for the operation of Torah Asian House, a 2,500 square foot restaurant with an outdoor dining area. The subject property is located on the east side of North Central Avenue between Maryland Avenue and Forsyth Boulevard. The property has a zoning designation of high density commercial or HDC and is in the northeast downtown overlay zoning district. The site is currently developed with a 2-story mixed-use commercial building. The proposed hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. The proposed restaurant measures 2,500 square feet and will include 50 indoor seats and 20 outdoor seats. Off-street parking is not required for restaurants located in the central business district, measuring less than 3,000 square feet. The Plan Commission considered this request at its meeting on November 3rd, 2025, and voted unanimously to recommend approval as requested. Staff recommends approval of a conditional use permit for the operation of a restaurant operated by Anya 16 LLC, located at 16 North Central Avenue, per the conditions outlined in the resolution.
Thank you. I'll open the discussion. Do any board members have any questions or comments?
Again, this was well received by the Plan Commission. We're looking forward to the restaurant opening. And also, I'm hoping that the applicant consider looking at the Green Dining Alliance opportunities that come with that. And the city also gives formal support for that to cover the costs of becoming part of that alliance.
Thank you for mentioning that, Susan.
Great. No, I'm excited to see investment in a new space. Thanks.
I'm comfortable the Plan Commission looked thoroughly at the plan and has approved it. So I too would look forward to having dinner at the new restaurant in the near future.
No questions or comments?
Yeah, just excited for a new venue in downtown Clayton.
Yes, I too am excited. We're always excited for new restaurants. So, yep, I'm excited to eat at it. I don't know if there's any questions or comments from the audience. If not, okay. If not, I will close the public hearing. Alderwoman Buse.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-33, granting a conditional use permit to Anya 16 LLC to allow for the operation of Torah Asian House Restaurant.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. You're well on your way. Congratulations. We're excited.
Thank you.
Good luck.
The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments from any board members? Alderwoman Buse.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion?
Alderwoman Booth,
Aye.
Alderwoman Patel,
Aye.
Alderman Fader,
Aye.
Alderman Hummel,
Aye.
Alderwoman Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye. We are moving into some new business. The next item is related to our retail smoking establishments. So the city manager will give his report.
Thank you. The proposed ordinance enacts a new chapter of the Clayton City Code by requiring an additional license for any retail smoking establishment selling tobacco, vapor, alternative nicotine, or hemp-derived intoxicant products. Applicants must just demonstrate good moral character, hold at least $50,000 in net assets, and maintain $1 million in liability insurance. Licenses are valid for 1 year, non-transferable, and may be suspended or revoked after investigation and hearing if violations occur. The ordinance also mandates background checks, character references, and compliance with zoning and health standards, while exempting existing lawful operators until the next licensing period. Operationally, the ordinance imposes strict controls on sales and marketing. Licensees must conduct quarterly lab testing of hemp-derived products, complete annual training related to sales to minors, verify customer age, and comply with packaging and display limits. limitations. Sales are prohibited between 1:30 a.m. and 6 a.m., and barred windows or doors would be forbidden. Staff recommends approval of the attached ordinance.
Thank you. I'll open the discussion. Are there any comments or questions from the board?
I actually have a question with existing businesses exempting existing lawful operators until the next licensing period. We haven't had a licensing period before. Does that mean?
This would be the first licensing period will occur in June at the same time as the business licenses that go out.
Okay, so all licensing in the general sense of business licenses as well.
Correct.
So existing
Yeah,
operators.
they already have business licenses within the city. This will be a new requirement.
Okay. And then the other question was, what I have is the annual training. I remember when we looked at this for bars and restaurants and training for identification of sales to minors, there was an actual program out there on how to train that. Is it the same program used? with
It's not the
tobacco?
exact same program, but it's offered through the state of Missouri, just as the other program is.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to confirm whether the licensing period was annually, and do all business licenses or renew in June?
They do.
Oh, I didn't realize that. The definitions in here, I believe the cover, like, are they all new? The person of good moral character, like, is that a new thing that we're creating?
So you'll see a similar requirement under the liquor license.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
But it's,
But
separate.
it's not defined exactly that way, if I'm not mistaken. I would have to pull up that section.
It's substantially.
It's very close.
okay. That's all. Thank you.
I have no questions. Thank you.
So my only question is on how we administratively address these things. So the controls on sales, marketing, lab testing, all these other things. So whose job is it to make sure that they actually do these things? Do they need to submit reports to us? Do we follow up if they don't submit the reports? How will that work?
So we'll work that out primarily with the police department. The license itself, that's all administered through our finance department. So when the annual license comes due, they're going to get a letter from finance. They're going to need to come in and submit all the proper materials. As far as the testing of those materials on a periodic basis, that's something we'll cover through the police department, just like the random checks that we do on the underage sale compliance.
Just a quick one. So the existing establishments, they will now have to conform to all these, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And then, the like background checks, character references, is that for all employees of these establishments or just like the
That would
owners?
be the owner and manager, I believe. Yeah, it's not all employees though.
Okay, so if you're a salesperson at the counter, they don't go through any of that?
We wouldn't have background checks and all of that. We would require them to take that state certification, that
Okay.
state training. So they would have to go through the training as far as sales to minors.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from the audience? That'd be great, Shelley. Thank you. Thank you. Shelley, is the
button.
button on? Just make it, oh,
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
sorry, send up people on.
Novice. Hi, I'm Shelley McClellan. I head up the All-In Coalition for the school district in the city of Clayton. And I am a Clayton resident. One of the questions I have is around the age of someone who can work at an establishment. I understand someone of the age of 16 could actually work in a nicotine shop, licensed as a nicotine. Do you have any information or background related to ages of employment?
Under this ordinance here, someone under the age of 21 wouldn't be able to enter the premises.
I wouldn't even be able to enter.
Correct.
That's terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's all new for us.
Good evening. My name is Wally Pankowski. I'm the owner of JR Cigars in Clayton. On the restaurant that's opening, I didn't hear any free dinners coming up. You know, that may happen. My one concern is under section 617.040 subsection E. Provision of not distributing or giving away free samples of any of the covered product. I understand everything other than cigars. I get that. But many of our customers come in, and I think Gerard will testify to this also. They're wondering what a particular cigar is like. And to make the sale, we will provide them with a cigar so they can try it. Not dissimilar to going into a supermarket and going to the deli and wondering what that piece of turkey tastes like. We are able to facilitate the sale of those products by letting the customer try it for free. I understand all the other ramifications of non-nicotine or non-tobacco nicotine, delivery systems, hemp, everything else, but cigars are for a different category of people. No minors are coming in, no minors are buying cigars that are $15 and $20 a stick. So I ask that you reconsider that or at least exempt cigars sales from that provision.
So can I, so because I don't smoke cigars, or I haven't smoked one since college.
Come into the
I
store,
know
we'll
it.
help.
I should. But so people, you come in and you give somebody a cigar and they
Sometimes.
try it. So
Sometimes.
and they try it and then you're like, okay, you take it, or, I mean, they don't, I guess, light it, enjoy it, and then they decide to buy it.
Sure.
So, but that's
Do.
usually what happens, or you give it to them for free, or it's a
It's
business
both.
decision,
It's
I
both.
guess. Yeah.
If somebody comes in that we've never seen before and he's looking around, gee, I wonder what that cigar is like. No, we don't give them a sample. If a regular customer comes in that's spending $1,000 for a purchase and he says, I wonder what that Cohiba cigar is like, here, try it. Now, he'll smoke it there or he'll take it home.
Right.
But either way, we're possibly facilitating a future sale. And that's the whole purpose of this. It's not to get somebody hooked on cigars because they're already a cigar customer. Nobody's coming in off the street that we're going to give a free product to.
Right.
We're just trying to help make the sale.
Right. It looks, maybe our city attorney is conferring a little bit. I mean, I'm wondering if that actually is considered a free sample under what we're probably posing here.
We could certainly look at that, but of course, we also don't set the price you may charge or the timeliness of your collection.
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
If someone was interested in a particular product,
Why not?
Even $2. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the price of the product is. It's the cigar.
I understand,
Okay.
but this doesn't regulate what you might charge that person.
It's the
Terms of-
price on the shelf. We don't
So-
change it.
So I think, I mean, I'd be interested in considering striking that provision. If no one can even get in the door without being 21 years old, I'm not really worried about them being swayed by some free giveaway. Like, what are we, like, we don't have, it's one thing to protect our children, but if the only people engaging in these businesses are 21 or older, I don't see why we wouldn't let them be given a free cigar or a free vape or a free cigarette.
Well, we
Or
do
for
give
that
children
to
free
buy
bubble gum.
individual cigarettes. Like, why do we care if a 25-year-old or 50-year-old wants to walk into one of these buildings and buy a single cigarette? I mean, weird, but like, whatever. I would suggest we consider striking D&E. I mean, some of these things in my mind become like less meaningful when everyone inside the door is 21 or older. Like.
Okay.
You haven't had a college age kid yet, have you?
I mean, no, but like once they're 18, you can't control them. I mean, like, Like, let's not be overly
Right.
prescriptive here. I
Well,
just,
part of the situation that you have is you do have on-site checks that we don't know about. You'll bring somebody in that looks like he's 45 and he's actually 16 years old. So you have that check that if we violate that, we're fined.
yeah,
But for the most part, if it's done correctly through the staff at the store, those people are weeded out. And I agree, the only ones in there are 21 years old. Giving somebody a free vape, I'm not, that's not my bailiwick. I'm only interested in being able to satisfy a potential customer by giving him a cigar that he may or may not buy in the future. As far as price, it doesn't matter what I'm giving him. The price is set already on the shelf. So whether he wants a $2 cigar or he wants a $100 cigar, which he won't get, but that price is done. So we're just trying to
Comply.
help our business.
I guess why did we put it in there? What were we trying to protect initially with it? Because I can understand your circumstance, but I'm assuming we put it in there for a different reason than, people going in and trying cigars. Okay.
You want me to move? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So this actually came out of research from some of the recommendations for the FDA and how they regulate. So there's actually a ban on free samples per the FDA regulations, except for qualified adult-only facilities. They provide for an exception under the FDA. So essentially, what we've done is created a qualified adult-only facility with the 21 age restriction. So that's kind of the product. We didn't in our draft reference that exception like the FDA did though, but I think that's the intention.
So by having them be 21 to go into these stores, we have created an adult or
Right.
only already.
which makes the
Right.
provisions like moot.
So we can reference it. So that's where it came from. So
Yeah.
we could reference that or however our attorney would recommend it.
It doesn't make it moot, but taking it out would not be inconsistent with the
With
federal
our intent.
regulation.
And yeah, I mean, I would move that we amend section 16040 to strike item D and E.
D is one we need to keep in there.
Why?
But I think there's a separate law dealing with individual cigarettes because of the way they're taxed. I don't
I don't think
believe,
you can buy into.
Yeah,
I
you
don't-
can't
I don't
sell a
believe-
single.
yeah, you can't sell a single cigarette.
Then why do we even have to specify it?
I think we're just,
What?
I think we'd like to articulate it in our standards of conduct so that that can be considered at issuance or disciplinary proceedings.
And does it only apply to like cigarettes, like
Cigarette.
tobacco wrapped in
Cigarette.
paper?
yeah, just cigarettes.
Okay, I mean, that's.
I
really-
think it's because of the way they're taxed.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's the reason.
I mean, yeah. All right, then I move to amend section 617.040 to remove item E.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed?
Anybody opposed?
Eyes have it.
The ayes have it, yes. Thank you. Do you have any other?
I'm
questions
on a
or
run, but
comments?
no.
No. No, thank you for your comments. So we appreciate
thank you
that.
very
And again, we're trying these regulations, again, the goal is to protect young children and we certainly value your business here in Clayton. Again, we're just trying to do what we can to make sure,
I respect that and I appreciate that. We're just trying to run a business for adults.
yes, and I know how many people value your business. So thank you for coming. And we appreciate your comments and.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I am curious, Shelley, do you have any concern with that amendment that we just did with the All-In Coalition?
Shelley, do you mind coming up? Sorry. Then because otherwise the people on Zoom can't hear you.
It's all in green, right? So no, I don't, especially because of the 21 umbrella. Once that's in place, that really is so helpful. And it sends an important message. And when we send and help support doing the compliance checks, I think that you're doing a great job of buffering and creating some hurdles. So thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from anyone? Alderwoman Buse.
I introduce bill number 7107, approving an amendment to Title 6 of the Clayton City Code by enacting a new Chapter 617 pertaining to the business license for retail smoking establishments to be read for the first time by title only,
As amended.
as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7107, first reading, an ordinance amending Title 6 of the Clayton City Code by enacting a new Chapter 617 pertaining to business license for retail smoking establishments.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Alderwoman Buse?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of bill number 7107 as amended on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce bill number 7107 as amended, approving an amendment to Title 6 of the Clayton City Code by enacting a new Chapter 617 pertaining to the business license for retail smoking establishments to be read for the second time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7107, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance amending Title 6 of the Clayton City Code by enacting a new Chapter 617 pertaining to the business license for retail smoking establishments.
Alderwoman Buse,
Aye.
Alderwoman Patel,
Aye.
Alderman Fader,
Aye.
Alderman Hummel,
Aye.
Alderwoman Waldman.
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Thank you. The bill passes.
The next item on our agenda also relates to tobacco, nicotine, hemp, vapor, and other related products. Mr. City Manager will give his report.
Yes, this ordinance revises Chapter 215 of the Clayton City Code to expand local tobacco regulations to include nicotine, vapor, hemp-derived, and related products, and introduces new definitions such as covered products, hemp-derived intoxicants, and retail smoking establishments. The ordinance prohibits selling or providing any covered product to persons under 21, restricts minors from entering or loitering near establishments selling these products, and mandates the use of digital age verification systems. Additional restrictions prohibit free samples. So if we want to make this consistent with the previous one, we'll want to remove section 215.660C. It also, let's see, the other restrictions are with the sale of flavored tobacco other than menthol or tobacco flavor, prohibits individual cigarette sales and the repackaging of smokeless tobacco. All smokeless and vapor products must be sold in original packaging and marketing limited to FDA authorized products. The ordinance clarifies proof of age requirements, outlines penalties for underage possession and retailer violations, and provides limited liability protection for business owners maintaining compliant training programs. Overall, it broadens public health regulations to comprehensively govern the sale, possession, and display of modern nicotine and hemp-derived products within Clayton. Staff recommends that the attached ordinance be approved.
Thank you. I'll open the discussion. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board?
Yeah, I'm still reflecting on taking out the no free samples. Is it, I guess it's legal for a store to give out free samples, free cigarettes if they want to.
I mean, you can give away free anything. I've had free samples of liquor at liquor stores. I've had,
don't
right?
have
You
to
get
tell
free samples of the turkey at Schnucks.
I mean, I think the idea is
Buy it,
anybody
like-
that's getting a sample is at least
I
over
understand.
21.
I-
Okay, they're allowed to go in the store and,
I just have to think about it a second.
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
agree. It's good.
An addictive substance that,
They at least maybe at 21, it's arguable that they've made the decision to the adult decision to go in and partake.
okay, nothing.
I want to be clear about the difference between this and what we just passed. So like the first one, the one we just did is about like the establishment of the business and its licensing. And this is about more things about like operation and hiring. Like, can I want to be clear about, because a lot of the things are kind of duplicated.
A lot of it's. a lot
And
of
that
it's-
always worries me when we duplicate things in
well, a lot
different
of
parts.
it's redundant and basically because you'll have two courses of action if there's a violation. there.
Yeah,
You can go through the offenses section, which we're talking about now, and those would all be taken up within the municipal court. So
Okay.
we could issue municipal court or municipal violations and take them to court for that. Under the other provision, if they're violating that, then you can actually suspend or revoke licenses. So we have both pathways open if we have it redundant and it's in the licensing and the offense section. So we want both of those available to us in case we have a bad operator.
right.
This one goes a little bit further than the other one that just focuses on the licensing portion. And this is when we get into thing like possession of these products by minors in those types of things that are outside of the bounds of licensing, but would constitute an offense under the municipal code.
Okay. That makes sense to me. So I will, propose that we amend this to remove section 215.660, item C.
Is that a motion?
I think I said I
Okay,
moved.
I didn't hear
Yeah,
what you said.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I will second, but then I have some discussion on that.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure we read through the whole ordinance just to see if that accomplishes the intent of the amendment. So for example, in section 3, item H, there's a reference here about if a sample is distributed to an employee of a company conducting the sampling, such employee shall be guilty of an offense. I'm just wondering, is a sample in that context considered to be something that's free, and or does that apply in some other way? I just want to make sure that we're getting at the substance of what the amendment is intended to do.
Can you tell me exactly where you just read from?
Yeah, it's specifically on page 46. So it's letter H, the last sentence of that. And so it talks about a sample. I don't know if that's the same context of what we're talking about or not, though.
It's a little confusing because it's covering multiple things, it feels like. Like it's covering a sale and a vending machine and sampling. Right?
Well,
One item.
that's my point is I don't
Yeah.
want to remove it if it has a different intent. On the other hand, I don't want them to be entrapped either, so.
Yeah.
If we're making an amendment like that, something that we want to put off until, to table till next meeting, so we have time to go through and for consistency, or Kevin and David, are you comfortable that address any inconsistency now?
I think subsection H deals with the question of who is liable for the conduct. In circumstances, is it the owner? Is it the employee? Is it someone who is on the premises on behalf of a vendor conducting marketing activities? And that's what it's talking about in
Oh.
subsection A.
It's
I
establishing.
think that should continue to be there to assign liability and responsibility for the conduct.
But a sample, but distributing a sample is no longer an offense.
Is it a sample to somebody under 21?
But if it's distributed to an improperly, then it is an offense.
Okay.
The section itself.
This is trying to address the question of vicarious liability of a business owner versus direct liability of others on the premises who may be responsible for the offending conduct.
But it's all under
Yeah,
the umbrella of
it's-
selling to somebody or giving a sample to somebody under 21.
Yes. yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
But but no one inside the building can even be under 21. So are we trying to just like provide for further, like compounding the significance of doing it? Or,
We're trying to identify the responsible party in the event someone under 21 is on the premises and they are vended a covered product.
Okay. So the only like actions we're imagining the business or employee taking are either a sale, vending, or sampling. Those are the things that they would do, and that's why they're each covered.
Yes, ma'am.
Good question, Rick.
Yeah, so that addresses my concern on H, and so I'm not concerned.
So I would argue then that that motion would not be applicable.
Right. We don't need, we're removed, so.
I would just formally withdraw it, I think, like you would withdraw the motion, that's all.
I'm not withdrawing the motion. Like item C
Yeah,
of section
that
5.
section was not referenced in the motion to amend.
Oh,
It was raised.
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay, okay, got
Is
it.
my motion still out without a second?
I second it.
Oh, yes, I see. Yes, I thought that you were covering both sections.
It was in
Okay.
Mr. Hummel's debate on the motion that he
Right.
raised that.
Got it. Okay. So based on the motion related to letter C, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So the bill is amended. Are there any other questions or comments from the board related to no? Are there any questions or comments from the audience or online related to this? Seeing none. Alderwoman
The
Buse?
motion? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I introduce bill number 7108 as amended to remove 18.660C, approving amendment to Article 8, Chapter 215, Title 2, regulating certain tobacco, nicotine, hemp vapor, and related products to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7108, first reading, an ordinance amending various sections in Article 8 of Chapter 215 of Title 2 of the Clayton City Code, regulating certain tobacco, nicotine, hemp vapor, and related products.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alderwoman Buse?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of bill number 7108 as amended on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce bill number 7108 as amended, approving an amendment to Article 8, Chapter 215, Title 2, regulating certain tobacco, nicotine, hemp, vapor, and related products to be read for the second time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7108, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending various sections in Article 8 of Chapter 215 of Title 2 of the Clayton City Code, regulating certain tobacco, nicotine, hemp, vapor, and related products.
Alderman Buse,
Aye.
Alderwoman Patel,
Aye.
Alderman Fader,
Aye.
Alderman Hummel,
Aye.
Alderwoman Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Next item on our agenda is 25 North Central CID appointments. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, in June of 2015, the city created the 25 North Central Community Improvement District, or CID, for the property located at 25 North Central Drive. This is the Salon building. I believe it said 212 in the packet, but this is the Salon. This imposes an additional 1% sales tax on restaurants and other retail sales that take place within that building. The CID uses the revenues from the sales tax and the special assessment to reimburse the developer for certain eligible redevelopment costs. The CID is governed by a 5-member board that's appointed by the mayor with consent of the Board of Aldermen. The property was recently sold, and so the CID board is requesting a new slate of directors that are affiliated with the new property owner. Those candidates were listed in the board's packet with all of their terms expiring on September 23rd of 2029. Staff recommends approval of the appointments.
I'll open the discussion. Any questions or comments from the board or the audience?
Just a curiosity question, just to make sure that there isn't something we'd have to amend later. I noticed that the terms of the existing directors aren't all the same, meaning that there's two that expired earlier, and these are all the same. Perhaps that's just because of new appointments and they changed it, but I just want to make sure they didn't have some requirement that they have a staggered term or something.
Not that we're aware of.
Okay.
Alderwoman Altman,
Oh, no questions.
one in the audience. Alderwoman Buse.
I introduce bill number 7109, approving the appointments to the 25 North Central Avenue Community Improvement District to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7109, first reading, an ordinance of the city of Clayton, Missouri, approving the appointment of certain successor directors to the board of directors for the 25 North Central Community Improvement District.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of bill number 7109 on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce bill number 7109, approving the appointments to the 25 North Central Avenue Community Improvement District to be read for the second time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7109, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance of the city of Clayton, Missouri, approving the appointment of certain successor directors to the board of directors for the 25 North Central Community Improvement District.
Alderwoman Buse,
Aye.
Alderwoman Patel,
Aye.
Alderman Fader,
Aye.
Alderman Hummel,
Aye.
Alderwoman Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
We're just going to flip the next two items. So the next one will be our amendment to the software license and service agreement with Passport Labs.
Yes, we'd like to do this one first because this ordinance here just does one thing. It removes the exclusivity clause from the contract that we currently have with Passport Labs. Passport is the third-party app that's utilized for parking within the city of Clayton. And tonight we would like to add a second vendor in addition to Passport Labs. And so it would be appropriate to remove this exclusivity clause before we take up the contract with Park Mobile. So with that, we do recommend approval of the change.
I'll open the discussion. Is there any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, my only, looking at this, the one thing that I want, that caught my attention really is that we talk a lot about trying to make sure there are no disincentives to coming downtown. There are conversations about the fact that we have metered parking versus, surrounding communities that might have 2-hour parking or unrestricted downtown parking for their shops. And we talk about, well, what is the best way to try to make downtown amenable in somewhere people want to come without a second thought versus going a neighboring spot that's much easier without the parking. So, my concerns with this, and I think they've been answered, is that there's no increased disincentive. There's no disincentive. There's no increased cost. Even if it's minimal, it can be psychological to the user. I think for the city costs, there's not going to be much. It sounds like a lot of it is passed through, and the companies handle that even after the waiver period. But that did concern me. I was thrilled because when I go downtown St. Louis, I use this other app, so it's nice to have one versus trying to remember which one goes where. But that is the one thing I think we always have to be, of which we always have to be cognizant, is coming downtown Clayton to one of our shops, and hopefully more shops in time, something that people do easily and without any, hesitation, that it's harder to come here than somewhere else. So that's.
But to your point, I think it makes it more accessible to people, because people who are used to Park Mobile, then they come in and they're like, oh, I got to download the Passport app. And
Right,
like you said, Park Mobile, I know there was a reason we got Passport in the beginning, but Park Mobile maybe has done a better job of marketing themselves to other communities. I don't know. So.
And I agree with that, and I think I'm comfortable now that there's not there's no increased burden on the user, that they can do it and they have that additional
Right, they can
option.
just
So
do-
it's a good move
yeah.
forward, so.
My only question is whether Passport has to agree to this modification of the contract, and if they've already indicated willingness to do
They
so.
do, and they have.
Okay, thank you.
Flexibility is good. I'm for it.
Great.
I've read this and it's still not clear to me. Who insisted on the exclusivity to begin with? Both of us or just Passport?
Mr. Carter probably has the answer.
Was Passport.
Our contract with Passport goes back to 2016, which was a millennial ago in parking. And, and at that time, parking apps were, all the agreements were, they attempted to be exclusive and keep out competitors, and they would white box your app under like Park St. Louis, I think is what St. Louis Park Mobile was, and it was just an old term from 2016. They don't enforce it. They told me they weren't going to enforce it. Me and Kevin decided, well, if you're not going to enforce it, let's just take it out. So
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I like the idea of putting these together. I think that's a good idea, or having more than one vendor, I guess. And so I think it's a good idea. I just wondered, why are we doing it? Okay, thanks.
No questions.
Great. Let's see any hands up at all. So, Alderwoman Buse.
I introduce bill number 7111, approving an amendment to the agreement with Passport Labs, Inc. to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7111, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment to the software license and service agreement with Passport Labs Incorporated to remove the mobile payment for parking exclusivity clause.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alderwoman Buse?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of bill number 7111 on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce bill number 7111, approving an amendment to the agreement with Passport Labs Incorporated to be read for the second time by title only.
Any discussion? Oh, sorry. Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7111, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment to the software license and service agreement with Passport Labs Incorporated to remove the mobile payment for parking exclusivity clause.
Alderwoman Buse.
Aye.
Alderwoman Patel.
Aye.
Alderman Fader.
Aye.
Alderman Hummel.
Aye.
Alderwoman Waldman.
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Great. The next item, we'll go back to that agenda item 4 related to the agreement with Park Mobile to operate their parking management software in Clayton.
Yes, this ordinance would authorize a 3-year service agreement with Park Mobile LLC for a comprehensive parking management solution. This new contract will supplement the existing system and enhance the parking experience for residents and visitors. I will say that the RFBA, I think it caused some confusion, had the word replace in it. It is not a replacement. This would be in addition to Passport, as we just discussed. The package includes a mobile application for smartphone payment and extension of parking sessions, support for pre-booked spaces if desired in the future, a data platform providing data-driven insights into parking occupancy and software necessary for real-time enforcement validation. The fees are charged to users of the mobile app. The fee for the initial term of the contract is 15% of the parking fee, with a minimum collected of 64 cents per transaction. The contract has an initial term of 3 years, automatically renewing for successive 1-year terms unless notice of non-renewal is provided. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance authorizing a contract with Park Mobile LLC for implementation of a parking app, enforcement, and data insights platform. And one thing I would like to mention, we just had a great conversation about this, is just this is a step in the right direction for us, I believe, as far as parking is concerned in the downtown area. We need to get further and further away from quarters if we can. And the more solutions we have like this, the better. The Parkeon units that we have, the pay station units, those are $7,000 to $8,000 a piece, and we have them essentially on every half block. So when those are damaged and we have to replace those, they're quite expensive. We have some units that have become obsolete, so replacement parts are difficult to get. It's hard to manage a pay station system. But the thing I'll mention about quarters is the last time we went out to bid financial services, banking, about well, I would say almost 2/3 of the respondents to our banking proposal declined to take our business because of the number of quarters that they would have to process because of the parking. They don't want all that change because we require that they accept all of these quarters that we're out there collecting. So it's starting to impact banking as well to have a mountain of quarters that you're giving them every 3 days. So just wanted to point that out as well. So everything we can do kind of incrementally to get more efficient with parking and more app-based, which is becoming very common everywhere. It's probably the better for us in the long term.
David, we'll have to send you to the grocery store with all the quarters. I don't even know if there is a coin thing at the grocery store anymore, but yeah. Thanks. I'll open the discussion. Carrie, I just had a couple of questions. With Passport, there's a resident reduction. Will Park Mobile have the same?
That is an excellent question, and I think the answer is Rob with Park Mobile, I think is online.
Yep.
He may have given up at this point.
No, yeah.
Oh, he's there.
He's got his hands up too.
We don't have the permitting. We only have the permitting system through Passport.
Okay.
And that's what enables the resident discount. So I think for residents to maintain the discount, they will still have to have the Passport. In addition, the residential permits are tied through Passport also. So to answer your question, it's only going to work with Passport, but I'll let Rob address it also.
Rob, we're able to hear you if you want to respond to that.
Perfect. Yes, so we do have options around residential discounts. I won't go into all the details at the moment, but we are able to do that. It'll be a different configuration than your current permit setup, but can find a way to incorporate that. Also with the pay stations, if you all wanted to explore that option too, because we are the same company as the pay stations, by the way.
Thank you very much. So that you'll work with Gary then to kind of facilitate how we get the residential through.
Yeah, we
Park
can.
Mobile.
Yeah, we can explore that option and see
Okay.
how that configuration would need to be set up.
Thank you. Great. Gary, can I ask to, will you just put like stickers up? Because I'm assuming we don't want to put, I'm all the signage up right now. Will we just?
So this contract, they are providing free signage and stickers.
Oh, okay.
So we will
Got it.
put that on the list of to-do to swap those out.
Okay, great. It'd be a good thing to put in city views too, to tell people. Yeah. just to
I've already started
sure,
working
yeah,
with Lindsay.
Yeah, I figured. So, does anybody else have any questions or comments?
I do, Gary. You, go ahead. Do you have anything? I was curious about, I've heard about this ability to reserve parking spots, pre-book parking spaces, but I've never actually tried it. And I'm super curious if and how it really works.
We have,
If I reserve a spot, like what keeps somebody from parking in it?
that's exactly why we haven't executed that yet.
Okay.
It is an availability and it's really more for, well, again, I'd let Rob answer this, but it's more for garages or fenced off parking lots. It's going to be very difficult to achieve that in the Midwest with on-street parking.
So we don't intend to utilize that.
Yeah,
as-
I don't foresee it
Fine.
I don't foresee it in the near future.
Great. That makes sense to me.
No questions. Thank you.
So I'm unclear on what happens to Passport. It's coexists.
It coexist.
So then what do the signs in the city say? There's two signs or one sign?
They'll have one sign with both providers listed.
Okay. And then what is our intent with these coin operated machines? Can we do away with them right away or not?
Not right away. We need to come up with something where those meters are located. So if you park in St. Louis City, for instance, where the meters used to be, there's small signs that have the actual parking space number, parking area on each of those. We would need to look at switching to that sort of system and replacing the meters with those. I think that's something we probably need to take a look at and undertake, and a discussion that we can all have as far as what we want our parking to look like. But we've not had a conversation with the Board of Aldermen or really talked about policy as it relates to parking. So we've just been continuing with the meters, but it is something we could switch out if the board desired. I mean, I could say from a labor
Out of
standpoint.
necessity, we have two pay by app sections already, but they're very small and isolated
On the
locations.
meters themselves, yeah. And you know, the collection of the quarters is labor intensive too. If you come downtown in the morning, you'll see we have a member of Public Works staff that just goes around and collects quarters all day.
No, I think that's all a good idea. I'm just, I'm trying to figure out why we aren't there already. So I get that we don't have those little signs that you're talking about that I've seen, but we do have the zones. And when I park in the city of St. Louis, I just generally see big zones as long as I park in the zone. So why do we even need to have the meters still?
I think we can do away with them if the board thinks that's okay. I'm not sure when the last conversation on parking meters was, but that's something we would happily discuss and entertain.
Okay.
And then do you even have to have those? I mean, I know what you're talking about, the spaces that they have in the city of St. Louis, but can't there just be a zone that this is the zone you're in?
As long as it's handy and close. Now, the nice thing is about these apps too, is it knows, you know, GPS wise, what zone you're
Right.
in.
Because I don't want to
Um,
put, I mean, we're trying to open up our sidewalks rather than add more stuff in.
I
that.
understand.
You know, I mean, those signs in the city that have like space number, I mean, that's,
We just need to talk
aggravating
about what
too.
that system is. So we've not really dug into it, but if that's something the board would like to explore, we'd be happy to talk about getting rid of meters.
okay. Yeah, sounds like a good discussion if it needs to be a discussion, yeah. So. Oh, who does?
Did you?
Oh, got it. Rob, do you want to, do you have a comment?
Yeah, just I'll add real quick that if you do decide to go in that direction, we would provide the signs at no charge. And multiple cities have done this. There are a couple in Tennessee that have recently taken out all their meter heads. College Station, Texas is another example where they did the exact kind of setup that you're talking about for the entire area, and we've serviced their needs. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Great. Thanks. Yeah, I'm sure as we have a discussion, it'll be nice to have any input that you can have professionally. Any other comments or questions?
I thought,
Oh.
I had a couple of
Mhm.
things I thought of. One is that I've thought of before that isn't really specific to this topic per se, is like, people are constantly trying to figure out when they have to actually pay to park. And so I'm interested in like our ability to add or increase signage about what our actual hours of enforcement are.
So the app will notify you if you're outside of the required payment time. And we just recently updated all of the pay stations to one, give a message, and two, not accept funds outside of collection hours.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like,
Like on the
Um,
weekends and stuff when people.
yeah, no, I know, but like, wouldn't it be great to not even have to pull up the app? Like, and like if there were, like if there are signs, would just encourage us to think about that. Like it makes it easier for people. And then on the topic of quarters, I would just encourage us to think about the fact that if we're collecting a ton of quarters, it's because somebody or lots of buddies think it's actually prefer or feel like they need to pay via coin. And so there's actually kind of a movement of people moving away from smartphones. I mean, it's small, but it's happens. And so I don't want to create a community where you have to have a smartphone to come and park. And like, I mean, that's like a real issue, equity wise, I mean, accessibility. So
Yeah, that's why I think
did you have to have a credit card to have a park app?
I
Like,
think that's why we need to have the conversation. I also think
Yeah.
that's why we wouldn't just, if we got rid of the meters, get rid of all the pay stations at the same time too. So the pay stations kind of give you that option if the meters are gone, but then you have to be kind of tactical about where you deploy those to make sure they're
accessible.
accessible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely part of the conversation.
Well, and different sections of town have different demands for quarter use than other sections too, like
Yeah, we have.
what we
data.
affectionately call the lot 52 or the lot at the jail and courthouse is high usage of quarters. Maryland Avenue obviously is not.
Good points, though. Yep.
I would just add on the prior point that I hear people often say it would be nice coming to Clayton, if you don't, especially if you don't live here, to know in fact that you don't have to put coins or use your card at a certain time during the day, whether it's from 5 o'clock on or in Saturday mornings. Sitting at City Coffee on Saturday morning sometimes, many times the people who are sitting out there, myself included, have to tell people, hey, you don't have to put money in because it's Saturday. And it, to some extent, it would affect the impression that people have is, I'd love to go to Clayton, but it's a pain in the butt because I gotta put money or use a card in a meter. And a lot of people would like to come from 5 o'clock on weekends. But I don't think we really promote the fact that those are times when you don't have to deal with paying for parking.
We've had actually several campaigns on social media about that, about not paying at certain times and certain days. It's just a matter of reach. And I think that is going to fold into the broader discussion of a complete parking renewal plan, including that communication. But what's it going to look like when we don't have meters and don't have park-ons or so forth? And just to add on to that, a lot of these app companies allow pay by text too, so you don't necessarily have to have a smartphone, but you do have to have a credit card. So we have attempted in the past to communicate that. It's just finding a vehicle that reaches everyone.
Alderwoman Buse.
I introduce Bill number 7110, approving an agreement with Park Mobile LLC for parking management software to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney.
Bill number 7110, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a service agreement with Park Mobile LLC in connection with the parking application enforcement and data insights platform.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of Bill number 7110 on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce Bill number 7110, approving an agreement with Park Mobile LLC for parking management software to be read for the second time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney.
Bill number 7110, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a service agreement with Park Mobile LLC in connection with the parking application enforcement and data insights platform.
Alderwoman Buse,
Aye.
Alderwoman Patel,
Aye.
Alderman Fader,
Aye.
Alderman Hummel,
Aye.
Alderwoman Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Gary, thank you for all your work on the new Park Mobile. It's like I'm Passport Park Mobile. Thank you. All right, now we're going to get into some ordinances related to our new or reflective of our charter changes.
Yes, that's correct, Mayor. So the next 5 are all the results of the recently approved charter changes. And so the first one, and in front of you this evening is a red line and a clean copy of Chapter 110 as it pertains to the administrative or the city manager's office. So had a discussion with Alderman Fader yesterday afternoon, and he had mentioned just the format of this Chapter 110 as it relates to the city manager. I had a conversation with the mayor today, and she tends to agree that what we were trying to do is take the language in the charter that relates to the city manager and put that in the code of ordinances as well. So we've moved all the administrative departments over to the code of ordinances. And for the city manager, we wanted to make sure that those duties and responsibilities were there in the same place. So that if somebody wanted to renew or review the code and see who was responsible for what here in the city and what the departments were, you could see all that language without having to bounce back and forth between the charter and the municipal code. So what you have in front of you tonight, this red line version, as it adds a whereas clause that basically states that the sections 110.101 and through 110.016, that all of those reflect what's in the charter there. And it strikes out the charter references that were in the code itself. So if that makes sense, we put in a whereas clause saying that those sections came from the charter, and we've taken out the specific charter call outs within the code. So that's the change that's in front of you. The other one that's really minor, doesn't even show up as a red line here, is section 4, which is the final section. These will all read, the next 5, that the ordinance is in full effect, both from and after its passage by the city council. We've changed that because originally it had said effective immediately, but it also had on there the requirement that we receive the certified election results, which we now have in hand. So that has been adjusted as well. But I just wanted to mention on chapter 110, the intent is to reflect the language that's in the charter, and that we've changed the whereas clause to just streamline what's in the code.
Great, thank you.
Recommend
I feel like that, yeah, I feel like that's a great clarification. Does anybody have any questions or comments related to that from the board?
I appreciate the changes that were made. I think it's a lot clearer now, and thank you.
Great.
And I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Questions? Thanks.
Great.
I
Alderwoman.
do have one question. This might be a silly question. Do we have to do anything to make us city council versus board of aldermen? Did I miss something in here?
So we'll follow up, and we'll have to change. We can do it, I think, through one ordinance.
But if we're
Instruct,
approving these,
we don't even need an ordinance. We'll just instruct the editor
to change
at the
it.
next time the code is supplemented. Now, that's going to cause reprinting virtually the entire code. But to go through and change it to, change the references to Board of Aldermen to City Council.
okay, and the reason I ask is because this is by passage by the city council. I just want to make sure that we are a city council as we
You are the City Council.
passed
As of
we
right now,
passed
you
it,
are.
That we didn't need to do anything.
Because we've already approved the election results in
Right.
in the consent agenda.
Okay.
So I should have been
Else?
saying council member after the consent agenda. I should
Oh,
be
yeah.
saying. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Okay. Introduce bill number 7112, approving an amendment, Article 1, Chapter 110, pertaining to the city manager to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7112, first reading, an ordinance amending Article 1 of Chapter 110 of the City of Clayton, Missouri City Code pertaining to the city manager.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of bill number 7112 on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the council has given unanimous consent.
I introduce bill number 7112, approving an amendment to Article 1, Chapter 110, pertaining to the city manager to be read for the second time by title only.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7112, second reading and consideration for adoption. Excuse me. An ordinance amending Article 1 of Chapter 110 of the City of Clayton, Missouri City Code pertaining to the city manager.
Councilmember Buse,
Aye.
Councilmember Patel,
Aye.
Councilmember Fader,
Have to look around. Oh, yeah. Aye.
Councilmember Hummel,
Aye.
Councilmember Waldman.
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
All right, next item is related to our administrative departments of the city.
Yes, so the recently approved charter amendments took all of the administrative departments out and removed them. We need to place those in the municipal code. And so we've listed out every department specifically, along with the officer that is in charge of that department, or the director for each department. There were also provisions related to the finance department and director of finance that were removed from the charter. And so those are going into the municipal code. That includes the preparation of the budget-related public hearings, open inspection of the budget, transfer of appropriation, and establishment of tax rates. So all of those items that came out of the charter are going into the code with this ordinance. And then we're also listing the specific duties of the Public Works Department and the Director of Public Works as it was listed in the charter. We recommend approval.
Thank you. I'll open the discussion. Are there any questions or comments?
I didn't, so is this one similarly basically a copy of what was in the charter, or did you do?
These
make
these
changes?
responsibilities have not changed.
Yeah.
This is just restating the charter language or moving it at least.
No comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Buse.
I introduced Bill number 7113, approving an amendment to Charter 110, to Chapter 110 pertaining to the administrative departments to be read for the first time by title only.
Second,
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7113, first reading, an ordinance amending chapter 110 of the Clayton City Code pertaining to administrative departments of the city.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of Bill number 7113 on the day of its introduction.
second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce Bill number 7113, approving an amendment to Charter 110 pertaining to Chapter 110 pertaining to the administrative departments to be read for the second time by title only.
second,
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7113, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending chapter 110 of the Clayton City Code pertaining to administrative departments of the city.
Councilmember Buse,
Aye.
Councilmember Patel,
aye,
Councilmember Fader,
Aye.
Councilmember Hummel,
Aye.
Councilmember Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
The next item is related to a change in our municipal judge requirements.
Yes, this takes the provisions of the city charter that pertain to the municipal judge and moves them to the city code. There are two modifications that have been made from the charter to the municipal code. The first one increases the term for the judge from 2 years to 3 years, and it eliminates the residency and elector status requirement that was previously in the charter. Staff recommends approval. The other thing I would mention, he's not here this evening, but he also sent it to me in writing, was that Alderman Yorg would like to see a preference that the judge be a resident, but just wanted me to mention that to the board. So.
Thank you. I'll open the discussion. Any questions or comments? I suppose specifically related to Councilmember Yorg's suggestion.
Yes, I have to say, I would support Councilmember York's suggestion that we have a preference for the residency for the judge. It's something that is now an ordinance. If things change in the future, we can always, it's much easier to address it at that point in time. But I think we have. Anyway, I would support adding that.
I think that the process that we've outlined, whereby I think there's at least one member of the board, and in the end, like, we make the appointment, allows us to, the council at any given time, to prioritize what they prefer to. And I don't see a reason to modify it.
I think it was a nice gesture at some point to suggest that out of sort of loyalty to Clayton lawyers, we should have a Clayton judge. But I think over time, if you look at what the municipal court does and you consider the people from all over the county who appear in front of the court, to have sort of a hometown approach to this, I think is unnecessary, especially since we are considering at some point, continuing to look at more of a regional approach. Admittedly, you could leave it now and change it later, but I wouldn't see any point in doing that, so I would leave it unchanged.
You.
I agree with Gary's point as well. But what will happen, I guess my question is, in terms of the current municipal judge's term, does he have to wait until his current term expires, or does his term get amended with the passage of this ordinance?
term is not extended by the passage of this ordinance. His term is the term for which he was appointed. The next judge appointed, or the next person appointed to a term as judge will serve a 3-year term.
Okay. And then under the category of minutia on page 2 of 4, under section 130.025, we didn't capitalize the letter C in City of Clayton. So just didn't want us to be diminished.
Noted.
I think I don't think we should put the preferred resident, just because I think the whole point is so that we can open this up to joining with other municipalities. And so I don't think that's necessary.
Yes, I mean, I would tend to agree. I appreciate Councilmember York's suggestion, but I think, Gary, I think you kind of said it the best. I think I think we just need to move forward with this. And I think, as Becky also mentioned, we've got a group that interviews and suggests an appointment, and we ultimately decide who becomes the next judge. So I think we can take all that into consideration. So if there's nothing else,
Introduce bill number 7114, approving an amendment to chapter 13130 pertaining to the municipal judge, to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7114, first reading, an ordinance amending chapter 130 of the Clayton City Code pertaining to the Clayton Municipal Judge.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of bill number 7114 on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce bill number 7114, approving an amendment to chapter 130 pertaining to the municipal judge, to be read for the second time by title only.
Any discussion?
Second.
Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7114, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending chapter 130 of the Clayton City Code pertaining to the Clayton Municipal Judge.
Aye. Councilmember Patel.
Aye.
Councilmember Fader.
Aye.
Councilmember Hummel.
Aye.
Councilmember Waldman.
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, the next item pertains to our Parks and Recreation Commission.
Yes, so this takes the charter provisions related to the Parks and Recreation Commission from the charter and moves them into the municipal code. We already had some references to the Parks and Recreation Commission in the code, but the constitution or the composition of that particular commission was held within the charter. So we've moved that over. This ordinance would amend the composition of Parks and Rec to remove the Board of Education recommended members as voting members and reestablishes them as ex officio members or non-voting members going forward. The ordinance also provides the city council may appoint other ex officio members as deemed necessary. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Thank you. I will just mention too, I did talk to Stacy Seawalk, our school board president, about this, so she's aware of it. And we both thought an ex officio role was good, and, you know, actually putting it in the ordinance like ensures that they will have, you know, that every year they will at least think about having somebody go. I mean, I think specifically, you know, they're very involved in Shaw Park, as Tony's here, you know, I think they want to make sure that they're always considered when we're talking about the tennis courts and usage, especially. I mean, I guarantee there's other places in the city in our parks, but I just wanted to make sure everybody did know that Stacy's aware of the change and supports it. So,
No offense taken.
what?
They're not taking offense.
No. And I think they didn't know that there was two people, like, I mean, for as long as, you know, I think there's only ever one person
I
that's
served on
gone.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
10, 11 years ago, there were two very attending liaisons from the Board of Aldermen. But
School-
it's,
school
or,
School board.
oh, yeah, no, you're right, Bob, school board.
Yep.
Sorry.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'll open, does anybody else have any other questions or comments related to this?
I have a question. Do you? You were just getting ready to
I was
make a
gonna read.
motion. Do we have 7 today plus the 2 like spots? Or are we actually creating new openings for residents that need to be filled? And I'm kind of confused about like the specificity about, it talks about appointing for 1, 2, or 3 years, but current members will serve the terms for which they were appointed. Like that all feels kind of confusing to me. So I'm interested in how to understand that.
Yeah, so going forward, there'll be 7 members. And then
What are there today?
There are 7, but the one school board member counts as part of that 7.
as the 7.
Yes,
right.
correct. So
So
we
there'll still be 7. You'll need to replace the 1 school board member with a member at large.
Another vote.
correct.
For the unfulfilled term of that school board member. Is that
Yeah.
right? Yes.
And so, thank you.
Welcome.
So we'll have the same number of voting members, like the same quorum requirements. That's what I
Correct.
was trying to get at.
Yes.
And, but how does like, why are we specifying the appointment? When like it's already an existing
far as-
committee with people?
As far as the staggered terms,
Yeah, commencing with appointments after December 1st, 2026. So we're saying that like in a year and a month, we're going to, I mean, am I reading this wrong? We're going to start appointing members for different term
if
lengths.
you look a little bit further, it'll say those members in office at the time of adoption shall serve their unexpired terms, or serve the terms for which they were, appointed. So those appointments should all remain in place, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then as far as new appointments going forward,
What's the significance of the sentence
to
that
put them
begins with the word
schedule staggered
commencing?
terms that already exist.
Right.
Yes.
It is intended to accommodate the fact that new members will be appointed in a way which will spread out the staggered terms among the membership so that there's an annual rotation.
But there's only one new member.
I believe under the charter, there were 2 school board members. And so I was accommodating 2 replacements when I drafted this,
But we've only had one.
but the charter.
Yeah, so the
provides-
question
Yeah,
is,
I-
how many Clayton residents are voting members of the Parks and Rec Commission today?
I-
Not, but so it is 6. So we have 1 spot to fill. And presumably we'll actually, like, are we gonna wait until it's Ben Beinfeld, till his current term expires to replace it? Like this wording doesn't seem clear to me. So like, it seems like we should just say, the board will appoint a member to like, and we can say complete the term, or we can say, go ahead and do a 3-year term. I mean, we can do whatever we want. It's one person.
We complete the term of, because then you're keeping the staggered appointment. Now, if we are, assuming that's already happening with school boards, because school board appointments are different.
I can't
know.
speak to the current membership of the charter assigns 2 seats to the school board. We are repealing that. That leaves 2 seats to be filled by direct appointment by the city council.
So
Repealing that, we are establishing an ordinance to ensure that the Parks and Rec
We're good.
Commission is cared for.
we're good.
Yeah.
There's
There's
7.
7 already.
7 plus Ben.
Yeah.
There's 7.
That's kind of what I thought. So like, we really just need to strike the sentence that begins with commencing.
Yes.
And like,
Yes, we can strike that. There won't be any new appointments. Your number is still going to be 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was 7 and then Ben also voted. So there was 8,
Correct.
like, I guess. There was 8 people that voted,
If
if
you-
everybody was there.
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll need to work harder to get a quorum if that's been hard.
Yes.
So,
So we need
Um,
to strike it
so-
from the word commencing.
members and shall this.
Yeah, through the.
Members
word
shall
draft.
be appointed for terms of 3 years each. So I think we just delete from commencing to thereafter.
Correct.
So I move that we amend section 140.010 by removing the section from commencing to thereafter.
Take out the thereafter sentence.
Just the word thereafter. We want to keep the members shall be appointed for terms of 3 years.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, and Tony, you'll let Ben know that, I mean, just, that he can keep coming. I mean, I'm happy to let him know, but just that we've actually taken this action today. And I mean, I think he's been an active member. I'm sure he still wants to come and.
Oh,
be
definitely.
rep- Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's similar to every other commission where,
What do you think?
well, in so many committees, it's like we're non-voting members and school board's non-voting members, so that.
Right.
Are they still part of the commission or committee? I guess it doesn't say it in here. All right.
All right,
Ready?
great, thanks. Alderwoman Buse.
I introduce bill number 7115 as amended, approving an amendment to chapter 140 pertaining to the Parks and Recreation Commission to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney.
Bill number 7115, first reading, an ordinance amending chapter 140 of the Clayton City Code pertaining to the Parks and Recreation Commission.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of bill number 7115 as amended on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
I introduce bill number 7115 as amended, approving an amendment to chapter 140 pertaining to the Parks and Recreation Commission to be read for the second time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney.
Bill number 7115, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance amending chapter 140 of the Clayton City Code pertaining to the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Councilmember Buse,
Aye.
Councilmember Patel,
Aye.
Councilmember Fader,
Aye.
Councilmember Hummel,
Aye.
Councilmember Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you. Last is an amendment related to our Clayton Plan Commission and ARB.
Yes, this ordinance amends the composition of the City Plan Commission and Architectural Review Board to remove the city manager as a voting member and replaces the seats with a resident of the city. Staff recommends approval.
Right. Are there any comments or questions from the board?
I have a minor suggestion, which I don't feel strongly about, but I think I'll bring it up anyway. It relates to the composition of the commission. I know Steve Lichtenfeld has often talked about the fact that it would be helpful to have people on the commission who have some experience in land use type of planning issues. And I think what's a little confusing here, but maybe it's baked in because it's in the statute, is I think the statute authorizing this type of entity refers to it as a plan commission and then goes on to talk about the fact that there should be sort of a master land use plan. I am sort of wondering about in this section 400.060, where it talks about the members being residents of the city qualified by knowledge or experience to act on questions pertaining to the development and administration of a city plan. I think it would be helpful if it said land use plan, but again, maybe it's implicit that that is what the city plan is. I just think for someone who looks at the ordinance, city plan could be strategic planning for the development, marketing, a variety of things. But this, in fact, is about land use. And so I think it would be helpful to insert the words land use, but I don't know if Kevin thinks that's inconsistent with language that's in the charter or the statute and that we're sort of stuck with the term city plan. If there's any way to sort of expound on that a little bit by adding a couple of words.
David or Kevin, do you have any thoughts on?
I'm looking at the state statute right now for
That's what I'm-
planning commissions 89.320. That's what I'm looking at. And there's no language in here related to knowledge of development or administration of a city plan, unless there's another section that you're aware of. The constitution of a plan commission is actually pretty flexible, if I recall, in state law.
Is that the extent of isn't there someplace in ordinance where we specified something about qualifications?
We do that for a number of different commissions that we have. So
Yeah.
economic development that we just did.
No, but I
special
thought
business.
that we had it in place for Plan Commission
We
architectural
do for the
review.
Architectural Review Board, and it was different for the Plan Commission. They didn't have the same requirements.
Right.
In the, one was in the charter, one were in the ordinances. So the ARB is in the ordinances already.
Correct, and requires a registered architect on the ARB.
So, is this because the language in the subject of the ordinance and the headings of the chapters are about the Plan Commission and the Architectural Review Board?
Just to clarify, this is language that is already, so
Correct.
the
It's just
charter
pushing
was
up.
already replicated within the code. So the way the wording is now, the only thing that we're changing is removing the city
City
manager. as
manager,
voting
that we
member.
didn't touch any other
Other
language.
language was already existing within our code. The city plan commission reference was also replicated in the charter. So
So does that mean adding the words land use would make it inconsistent with the charter?
The charter provisions have been amended out.
right.
Yeah, they're
They have been, the drafting was to import them as written.
What I'm wondering is if there's language that isn't on these pieces of paper in front of us that talks about the qualifications of the members.
Or not.
No, this is pretty much what's on.
Was there really not before? I
No,
could
we
have
didn't.
there was.
Just that they had to be,
By practice?
just the use of the city plan as it's
Right.
referenced in here.
City-
That was the only thing.
Yeah, the city,
I think when Rick and I were looking at it, we were talking about, should we sort of beef this up?
Right.
But that's as
Yeah.
far as we got. We said maybe there's a way to sort of give more of a direction and the appointment to having people who specifically have some background or experience in land use, because that's sort of,
right. I think the language
Ew.
city plan is because although that specific phrase that we have as our qualification is not in the Missouri statutes, the reference to city plan is the language that's used in the Missouri statutes. So in the qualifications of a plan commission, which is required under Missouri state law to adopt a city plan, it talks about a city plan, not a land use plan. So that's where that language
Why,
comes from.
that would be why we want that to be consistent.
Well, I think that's probably why that's the way it was worded within our charter and within our existing ordinance is using the term city plan, because that's what the Missouri statutes also use.
I guess I've really thought that we had language somewhere that talked about them having some sort of experience or training. And so I guess like if we don't, because we've been very adamant about it. Because I mean, we've had people interested in serving on the Plan Commission or Architectural Review Board who don't have that. And we've not really entertained it. And so if we're serious about that being a requirement, it would seem to me we might want to codify it.
I think that's what it is right now. So right now it does require the not qualified by knowledge or experience to act on questions pertaining to development administration of a city plan is what's in there right now.
Yeah.
And that's references, that alludes back to what the state.
my concern was that doesn't necessarily
It doesn't go,
tell you a
it
lot.
doesn't go, you mean
because
it
most
doesn't
people Don't
go,
know what that is.
yeah, yeah. But it does, I mean, it does at least talk that you have to be qualified by knowledge or experience to talk about development of a city plan, which, I mean, it's general. I mean, so.
It leaves that judgment to the collective wisdom of the city council.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in practice, I think we've been consistent, I think we've had people, like you said, Becky, apply who didn't have that knowledge or experience related to planning.
It's fascinating how your brain can like store ideas.
I know that is-
Who
yeah.
knows where it came from, but I really thought it
Yeah,
was
we've
written
done-
somewhere
Yeah.
It's definitely been,
differently.
well, it's been policy, I think. It just hasn't been in
It's
the.
been practiced.
As a matter of practice, the board has sought out individuals that have
No,
that
I
background.
get it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was actually written, so
Yeah,
thank you.
And I double checked my summary here just to make sure, and it's consistent with the discussion we just
Your
had.
history,
Yeah.
your project.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Are there any other
Nothing, I'm sorry.
questions or comments related to this?
Okay, I introduce bill
There,
number.
1 second. No, but you didn't have any other questions or comments? No? Okay. And then I know that I have talked to, because we will have to advertise for a new position. David's Monday nights will free up significantly.
No, he still needs to attend, right?
I'll be there from time to time.
But I think we do plan to advertise for it. I think Lindsay's already. Great.
Great.
And there's no location, it's not location
no, it's
specific.
not for us.
Great. Yep. So, great. All right.
Okay, introduce bill number 7116, approving an amendment to chapter 7440 pertaining, to chapter 4000 pertaining to the Plan Commission and the Architectural Review Board to be read for the first time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7116, first reading, an ordinance amending chapter 400 of the Clayton City Code pertaining to the state Clayton Plan Commission and Architectural Review Board.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move that the board give unanimous consent to consideration for adoption of bill number 7116 on the day of its introduction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the minutes reflect that the board has given unanimous consent.
Introduce bill number 7116, approving an amendment to chapter 400 pertaining to the Plan Commission and the Architectural Review Board to be read for the second time by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 7116, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending chapter 400 of the Clayton City Code pertaining to the Clayton Plan Commission and Architectural Review Board.
Councilmember Buse,
Aye.
Councilmember Patel,
Aye.
Councilmember Fader,
Aye.
Councilmember Hummel,
Aye.
Councilmember Waldman,
Aye.
Mayor McAndrew.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, we've come,
Can I ask a question regarding the same topic? So can someone just clarify for me the outcome of of our vote as it impacts any things that we didn't already address tonight? For example, the clarification on aldermanic terms or council member terms or pay. Is it already changed because of the vote? Do we need to amend the charter? Are there other ordinances that still need to be passed?
No, those should all be effective as of the passage of the proposition. So now that we have those certified results,
The charter
is
amended.
It is amended, so we don't need to take any other action.
it's amended. June will submit it to our code company and they'll put that into, they'll codify all of it for us.
so then at some point when you go to look at our code of ordinances,
up-
it'll change.
It'll all be updated on our website and
Yeah, there was a
Friday.
mention of like the code of ordinances gets updated and it would be like just editorial to make the council change, for example. Does that happen annually or on demand or some other? Okay. And so does that mean like within a quarter, it'll all say council instead of board? Okay. Great, thank you. Feels like a lot of work.
Not work that you're doing.
Not mine.
Yep. All right, we've come to the end of our agenda, which was a pretty long one. We've all been here for a while, but if anybody has anything significant to report,
I can be really quick. One thing being on the Plan Commission is that most of it comes here anyway.
yeah.
But I just mentioned one interesting proposal there. It was a beautiful house proposed for Whiteout Forest that would have looked very much like the houses by Gay Field over, in that northwest corner, very new builds, a lot of mass. And that was pretty much and less permeability because it was a very wide driveway coming down. And just a recognition by the Plan Commission, the Architectural Review Board, that this it truly was a change of character. No matter how beautiful the house, it was very different from the homes that were there. And the only other thing that I have to mention is that we have our next Ward 2 coffee on November 20th.
Alderman Fader, minutes or less?
Been a very, very successful polo meeting, big crowd. We've got Award 3 coffee coming up on Saturday. The Community Equity Commission is meeting on Thursday and has sort of lined up a number of speakers for future meetings. I think in this week's meeting, our Judge Strum, is going to do some updates. And I think the chief is also going to do some updates on what is going on from an enforcement standpoint. And I think their future topics, including getting Ian Mackey to speak to us on some of his priorities, and Pat Kelly from the County Municipal League, and also looking into immigration issues. Generally, what are the policies of our city and neighboring cities in terms of dealing with ICE to the extent that that is popping up in our community. And finally, there's a new course that was off the books for a while at Washington Law School, local government law, and it's come back now with a professor, Jonathan Smith, who used to be a city attorney in California, but decided he really wants to be an academic. And so he's invited a number of people to sort of speak in his class, and he was nice enough to ask me to talk about what's going on in Clayton, and it happened to be the day of the charter vote, so they were interested in what we were doing with the charter and what we're doing with zoning and a variety of issues. So it was a nice opportunity to speak to 25 future lawyers.
It's always good to have some good news. And so yesterday we had our quarterly meeting of the Non-Uniformed Employee Retirement Fund, and we received our annual actuarial report. And so we've had significant improvement over the last 12 months. That's due largely in part to very favorable investment performance, but also, interestingly, a decline in the number of active retirees. So our liability went down, our assets went up, and so it was a net overall gain. The result of which is our funding ratio now, from an actuarial standpoint, is now at 96.95%. So a significant improvement from where we were around 92%. Obviously, the goal is to be around 100 if we can get there. The other thing that this has an impact on, last year, our employee cost, or the contribution the city needed to make, was just shy of $685,000. Now the recommended amount will be $602,000. So as opposed to approving all these amendments to budgets where they go the other direction, this one actually is in a favorable direction. So that's good news.
We'll have to remember when David comes back and I'm like, well, we've got that extra $83,000 to play with.
Nothing really to add except, we have our Ward 3 coffee on Saturday, so.
Okay, great. I'll just mention, I did go to the art fair retreat on Sunday. The art fair, as you might imagine, was very successful. They averaged over $14,000 an artist, 33 states. Gary Carter was kind enough to give me we did spend about $150,000 as a city in costs related to putting on the art fair. So it's substantial. I think we gain a lot as a city, but it is costly to us. That's in addition to the donation we make, just the monetary donation to make as a sponsor. So they also changed their mission statement to include an educational component because they felt like their mission was it made it sound like all they were was an event. So Sarah wanted to add the educational component. They're also going to have less awards in order to, because if you get an award, then you're automatically given a place in next year's art fair. So it doesn't allow for new people, and they want to make sure they're getting new artists every year. So, they made some good changes, I feel like, at the retreat. So I also just want to mention thank you to everybody for any networking you did to help. Of course, staff did a wonderful job getting communication out about our charter changes, our charter amendment, but thanks to all of you as well for talking to your neighbors, talking at coffees, because I think it was great. I think it was wonderful. We had an overwhelming result that was successful, and I think it will make for some really important changes. So, yeah, so thank you.
Mayor, can I make one suggestion? I think it would be helpful with reference to the charter. There obviously were some people in the community, probably the 25% who voted no, who kept saying, well, you're getting rid of all this stuff, and what are you doing to fix it? And then I think we informed them, But I think it would be important to somehow communicate, maybe through the Clayton Connection, some way that letting know what action was taken tonight so that in fact, we did exactly what we told them we were going to do. We were going to fill the gaps by our actions tonight. So I think it'd be very important to let them know that we did what we said we were going to do. And I think that's
Well, and
important.
I think putting some sort of blurb in City Views, again, because we all know that people seem to get all their information, or a lot of people get a lot of information from City Views, which we missed with the charter. So, our next City Views, hopefully we'll have some sort of half a page about it, I think would be good. So. David, any last minute thoughts?
Nothing tonight.
All right, great. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Long night.
You don't have to go home, but you can't. Get what? It was a great one.
That's the artist. She was very nice.
Do you have to, do all the ordering, new signs, new name, like name tags?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.